Well, thank you for coming on.
No, I'm
It's funny.
excited to be here.
I was like reflecting on like how long. I was like, how long have I known of you? And then I was like, thinking about like, okay, well, you followed me at some point. I must have thought, oh my god, that was so cool. But it's just nice to like connect with you in real life.
Yeah, I think so too. It's always nice. I love being able to meet people in real life. Otherwise, sometimes it just feels like you're a name on there, right? But then when you actually get to meet people in real life, and the same goes even for followers and stuff, it's like you just feel like otherwise it's a number. But then when you get to see people and meet people, then you're like, oh, like what you do actually does have an impact on people, or people actually know who I am. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's so interesting as well with like a follower count. Like how many followers do you have? Like over 1 million, right?
Yeah, like 1.8 million.
Crazy. And you go, 1.8 mil. But if you had 1.8 million people in a room being like, I follow you, I like you, that's crazy.
Yeah, it definitely puts things into perspective when you when you think of it like that.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, Lauren, when I look back at your career as a whole, world champion bodybuilder, huge business. It looks like everything that you touch turns to gold. But has your journey to success always felt that smooth?
Definitely not. And I think with anything in life, there's so many ups and downs. And I think as you've just said, like from the outside looking in, it looks like everything that you touch turns to gold. But I think that's the thing about social media as well. Even though I have tried to share a lot about probably the down times that I've had, or maybe the not so successful times, I think that it still can perhaps come across as a bit of a highlights reel. And I think back to so many times over my career, say for example, when it comes to bodybuilding, like I've not always come first place. In fact, I've pretty much only come first place when I became world bikini champion. I've done so many shows over the years and come second, come third, not even placed at all. So I think that there's so many lessons to be learnt in not always like coming first or not always having that big success. In fact, the last show I did in 2019, which I felt like was my best ever like package that I brought to the stage, and I was just so incredibly happy with how everything went. And that was the show off the back of becoming world champion. So of course you feel so much pressure to succeed and to be you're at the top. So then to come third, like, yes, I was disappointed, but I also felt like I'd learnt so much just by doing that. And I was just so like content and happy with how I looked anyway. So that kind of really made me know, like, I don't care about what anyone else thinks. In a way, I was still really happy with myself. And it also showed to me that people who follow you, people who support you, people that, have been so involved with your whole journey over the years, like they don't need to see you win. Like they're not just going to be there to support you, to be cheering you on when you win. In fact, I feel like I got so much more support coming third. So it just goes to show like, yes, there has been so many successful times, but I haven't always been first place. And I think the same goes in business as well. We've had so many, like there's always going to be ups and downs, and it's often behind the scenes. You don't see the challenging times that people go through. Most recently, Mark and I have our own separate fitness businesses. I stopped LSF because we're creating this new business together, which is launching in a few months' time. But it's a long story and I won't go into it, but we had a very trusted employee who worked with us, who we started working on this business over a year ago with. They built an app, and then they ended up basically taking it from us.
Wow.
Yeah, so a whole year's worth of work, like just gone down the drain. So it's one of those things of, how you respond. Like you could just be like, throw in the towel, like when times get tough. And I think, as you said, like a lot of people see all these good times, but it's still like you still have to go through shit to get to where you are in life.
Yeah. How did that feel when you were kind of going through that moment of realizing, okay, they've taken this app, we're going to have to start over?
I think it was heartbreaking in a way because I'd also just become a mum as well. So if becoming a mom and navigating, having a newborn and all of these huge changes in your life, if that wasn't hard enough already, then also throwing into the mix that we feel like our whole career, our whole world, all of how we're going to make money, like all of this side of our life is crumbling. then yeah, trying to mix it into the two. So it was definitely one of those things that's like, well, we can, at the time, like we can sit and just like whinge about it and like obviously legally we're trying to fight for it, or we could just accept what's done. Like it could take us a year to try and fight this, or we just move on, pick up the pieces, start building another app from scratch and just like get to it. Otherwise, yeah, you're never going to get anywhere in life, right, if you're just always dwelling on the shit that happens to you. So I think it's how you often react and respond that kind of, yeah, tells a lot about someone's character in life.
What was your dialogue between you and Mark during that time? Were you both on the same page or?
Yeah, we're very much on the same path when it comes to that. Look, there was many tears, many, fuck this, many, yeah, ups and downs with it all. But yeah, I think just we're both very much like just headstrong people in a way that like there's like shit that like happens in life, but you just have to like keep pushing forward. And obviously if you have big goals, you've got these like targets that you want to achieve, and like you can't just sit back and do nothing and just hope that things fall into place. Like I'm not someone that's big on like manifesting or like in a way, yes, but not so much, because I'm very much just about like taking action. Like I could think about all these things. I could think about what I want my life to look like or what this new business was to look like. But unless you actually just do something about it and take action, it just doesn't happen. Yeah.
Have you always been driven in everything that you've done?
Looking back, I think I have been. I was pretty good when it came to like different sports. I used to play like netball, touch footy, did athletics, and I think everything I did, even when I was younger, I'd always give 110% effort to. Even in school, I was like, I probably wasn't the absolute smartest, but I still really gave it a good go. So I think it's that own personal, like it wasn't to try and be better than anyone else. It's just like that own personal drive within you that, yeah, I think I never wanted to let myself down with things. So if I was going to do something, I wanted to do it well, or I'll do whatever I could to do as best as I can with that. Yeah.
Where did that self-belief come from, like from a young age, knowing that, okay, if I work hard, I can achieve something, and if I actually put effort in, it'll make me feel good? Do you think it just sort of cultivated over time?
Yeah, I think just the more you do things like that, you realize how good it feels, how good it feels to put so much effort into something and then to be repaid with a reward. So I think that everything that I've ever had in life, I've always had to work for, and I've never been given money. I've never been like, my family wasn't poor by any means, but like I was never given anything, if you know what I mean. So I think my parents always instilled really good like work ethic and values into what we do in our life. So I think, yeah, it's just that feeling of you feel really fucking good when you know what you're doing, or the amount of effort and work that you're putting into something, it comes back to you. So I think it's just, maybe it's like that addictive, obsessive feeling towards that.
It is. It feels good though. Like it really does feel good when you put effort in and you see results. You're like, I literally just did that. Like nobody else, it was me.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of where that's, unfolded from.
So how would you describe the journey from kind of playing sports in school to becoming world champion in bodybuilding?
I think my love for, I guess, the gym started, my mum used to always be like, she was a gym mum. She'd do the pump classes, and so we'd always be like in the crèche at the gym. So I feel like I was pretty familiar with the environment growing up, and mum was super sporty as well. So we always had led a really sporty and active lifestyle. And I think going to the gym, again, like I was sporty, and I used to work in corporate, and on my lunch break, all the work gals would go to the gym and just do like pump classes and stuff like that. So I think that's where the love for it began. And then I started lifting weights and loved feeling strong, and I just loved the chase again of being able to progress, being able to better yourself, being able to add numbers to the bar and be able to like hit personal best. So it was, again, like that drive of progress, of doing something, that makes you feel good. So that was how that kind of eventuated. But because, again, I was quite, if I do something, I want to do it really well. And I think back in like that era of 2015, even a little bit like 2014, 2015 was when there wasn't as much education as there is now. Like we're in such a great place, I think, on social media, aside from a lot of the BS, of course, but there is so much good knowledge out there as well. There are so many industry leaders that are sharing like expert advice on like nutrition, on training, on just everything now. Whereas back then there was only like bodybuilding.com or just like shitty articles where it's just like, you must eat, it was like 1,000 calories and this is your meal plan that you followed. And I even remember I'd look up like how to lose, I don't know, 10 kilos and what diet, then it'd be like, it would just spit you out some really generic fish, asparagus. Yeah. What are those times? So I was someone that definitely took it to the extreme because there wasn't any education around how to do things properly. And I just remember Instagram was just starting, and then I think I stumbled across a few like girls that were competing, and I was like, what is this? And because I've always been such a girly girl, love like the glitz and glamour of things. And I also love like sport and I loved the gym. And so I was like, wow, this is combining all of that. And these girls on stage, like they look incredible. So I think I went through a period of trying to like eat and kind of train how they did. But I really like my health suffered at that time. I became extremely underweight. So overtraining, under eating, and just like not knowledgeable on how to do things the right way. So yeah, that was kind of how that whole journey started. And for me, it wasn't until I invested in a coach and put my trust into someone else that I actually learned how to do things the right way, that it kind of, my whole perspective, my whole like world really opened up when it came to the fitness space.
Yeah, the 2015 era, I was like in school then still, but like I was following like Kaylee It's Signs and everyone. I was like, oh my gosh, everyone was so skinny back then.
It was definitely the skinny era, the thigh gaps and all of the inspo. I remember like on some of my posts on Instagram were literally just like a picture of like my head was cut off, and it was like just like a body photo, and I was like, you didn't even have captions back then. It was just so funny just how things change. Whereas nowadays on social media it's a whole bloody production when it comes to the content that you have to put out. Like I really laugh thinking of how far things have come.
It has come far. I can remember on my Tumblr I have like I'm sure I could go and find it. It's like literally just from like the belly button to like upper thigh, and it's just the girl's like thigh gap. And I was like reposting that like goals. That's terrible. What do you think's the best thing that's changed since then in the fitness industry as a whole?
I think some of the best things that have happened, yes, of course, have been the knowledge, obviously, the education pieces out there have come so far, and people have actually like shared so much now free education, like whereas before you'd never be able to get that much like accessible to you, so and for free. So yeah, you think of like Lane Norton, for example, in nutrition space, and like there's just so many elite people that are sharing now that you probably never would have had access to. And I also think something that's really come a long way is just how much more, I think, aware consumers are of content in this space. I think people are a lot more clued on to things that they probably weren't before. And that's why like back in the day, like you'd be buying those like skinny teas and you'd be buying or any kind of gimmicky thing that would come out. Like there were so many more, I feel like, companies like that at the time because again, consumers weren't as educated as what they are now. But I think because of the rise of education, people are a lot more like switched on. They know like what's BS, what's just like obviously a marketing tactic. So yeah, again, I think consumers just being more aware and like the education that's out there has helped the industry a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just so nice to see even people like yourself that are calling out that BS, because I think back then there was just nobody doing that. We were all just like following along, and there was no one being like, hold on, I don't actually think that's right.
Exactly. There wasn't really anyone governing what was being put out on social media, and I don't think they're calling out people. It wasn't a thing back then either. And I think that anything you'd see like a hot girl post that had a really good body, but oh my God, like that, like you would never really question anything. So yeah, I think it's good to see people becoming more aware.
What's one trend that you followed back then that you are like, oh my God, now?
I think I probably tried all of the, I have been part and I've probably been part of the problem as well. I was probably I remember I was someone that was working like with skinny me tea. Now I just look back, I'm like, oh my God, like I was the problem back then. But it's one of those things like you live and you learn and you educate yourself. And so I was definitely the drinking the tea for the fat loss and was very much among that. So,
but you don't know at the time, and I think like as soon as you did learn, you grew and evolved with it.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's actually like personally the journey that I've had in terms of like the fitness world and education and like working with different mentors and stuff over the world and just upskilling myself has definitely been a huge progression as well. It's been nice.
How have you seen yourself evolve over the years? Like when you think about when you first started in the fitness industry, did you think of yourself as one way and now it's sort of changed?
I think I was actually reflecting upon this recently because becoming a mum definitely, you go through a bit of an identity crisis because your whole world really does change. And I think at first when I was pregnant, I was like, it's everything that you were doing, you feel like, are people still going to connect with what I'm doing? Or like I was obviously known for being a world bikini champion and lifting really heavy and then that kind of got stripped away a little bit and especially competing since I don't compete at all anymore. So I think over the last year of becoming a new mum, it's really been, I guess, about like rebuilding myself and the person who I want to show up as on there. And I was always reflecting reflecting recently that I've always been, I guess, someone that would be strong. Like she squats really heavy. But now I think being a mum, like I can still be strong, but there's like strength in so many other areas of your life. And I think to carry that like strong is feminine kind of that I was always advocating for, but to now carry that through into like being a mum and how you can juggle working and owning a business with still hustling hard on your fitness goals and still being able to show up as a good friend, as a good partner. And there's so much strength that goes along with that as well. So yeah, I think for me, like my journey has definitely evolved in so many different ways over the years. But I think now like my core messaging has always stayed the same too. So yeah.
Absolutely. There is so much strength in being able to do everything that you do right now. And I think that's one of my favorite things about you is that you have continuously evolved. I feel like as a consumer, you're like consuming your content, we've seen the progression, we've seen the evolution. And I love that you are so right, that core message of like that strength and, you know, power, and you've always worked hard. So that's maintained through, and it's been amazing to watch because it really shows, I guess it shows your openness and honesty that like, okay, I was doing weird things back then, but I've evolved.
I think it's nice, and the thing is, like, it's real, you know. Like people don't just stay the same their whole life either. And even though I think I was not afraid of being a mum and how my audience would change, but it's actually brought me so much closer to so many people, and like just with the community, I feel like I have strengthened it in new ways because I feel like, yes, being like a world bikini champion and being super strong, like, yes, that is like inspirational, but I feel like the relatability factor isn't as high. Whereas like when you're a parent and a mom and talking about the struggles, like these are struggles that like 90% of other parents are going to feel at some time in their life too. So I feel like it just gives you, it's really made me feel, a lot more connected to people that follow me as well. It's actually been really nice.
Yeah, I love that. It would be so nice to connect with that sense of like, I've had a baby, you've had a baby, like we're going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Have you been able to sort of detach your self-worth to identities? Like when you think about, okay, being a world champion bodybuilder or being really strong, do you feel like your self-worth was attached to that as well?
I think a little bit. I think it is hard when that's what you're doing day in and day out to attach some of your self-worth to the success of what you're doing. And Mark and I often have these conversations around like social media and the self-worth being tied to how your posts are going or how how many likes, how many views. I feel like a lot of people fall into the trap of then thinking, oh, I'm not good enough, or people don't like me, or I must I'm going to become a failure because the last couple of posts haven't done well. So I think naturally you do have, I guess, maybe it's like a little bit of human nature to fall into that trap of feeling like your self-worth is tied to numbers and your successes and things like that. But I think over the years for me, I have learned that I'm not just that. And it's like, oh, okay, well, if something doesn't go as good as you wanted it to, then okay, that's cool. That's like, maybe that's just the day. Maybe it's the content that was shit. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean I'm shit. So I think that, even though, over the years definitely have like tied certain elements to it. But as you grow and evolve and you have so many other parts of you with life as well. So it's not just, I'm not just a bikini competitor, or I'm not just a mum, I'm not just a whatever it is. I think if you look at yourself as more of like a balanced individual and there's so many parts too, then you're not just solely reliant on that one thing as your whole identity. And I think a lot of like, speaking I guess to competitors, right, a lot of people tie their entire identity, their entire self-worth to being a competitor, to the ins and outs of that. And then I think it's also why, for example, if on stage on show day, if you don't place as high as you want to, if you don't win, then it's like, oh my whole world is crumbling down. Who am I? I don't know what to do. You probably binge really bad after, you rebound. So I think that's like quite a toxic cycle. And I've always thought that, yes, you can love fitness, but that's not your entirety. Like there's so much more to someone than just that.
Walk me through your last season of competing and knowing, or did you know you were going to stop competing after that last show?
I think pretty much I did. And it was only because, I think the year before I had won, and that was kind of like, you've ticked all these goals. You've reached that, like that was the biggest goal that I had, right? And I'd competed overseas quite a few times. I'd honestly, had the most incredible time through it, met some amazing people, Hattie, and so then that next show that I did, got in the best condition ever. And for me, competing, and as you would know, like it is such a, you have to sacrifice so many things in your life to be, and if you want to do it, I always think like you want to be doing it like with your full heart, like everything into it. You have to be fully committed. So I would never do something in my life half-assed. And for me, I was like, I didn't want to continue to sacrifice like business or like friendships, or I don't know. I just felt it was kind of a turning point in my life where I really wanted to go all in on business rather than be a little bit of, just so caught up in other things too. And I feel like it was also a nice time to then, be able to have a little bit more balance in life with like food and going out and things like that.
So I think about it a lot, like the identity shift that's going to happen inevitably when I stop competing. And speaking to Hattie and speaking to Emily, they both, and you also, have like a clear distinction, like I'm not just a bodybuilder. And I think young competitors going up in the world are so heavily tied to that. I think as you go, you kind of, it sort of strips away a little bit. You're like, oh no, there's definitely more to me.
Yeah, people like me for so much more than just being a bikini competitor.
Yeah. Did you share a lot about everything else when you first started? So 2015 vibes, you were obviously competing. Was there more to your Instagram and more to who you were then that you were like putting out there?
When I first started my Instagram back, around like 2014, 2015, it was just like the photo sharing app. And that was when I was just starting to get into my fitness era. And so I just started to share pretty much everything about that. The food I was eating, the photos, they were not aesthetically pleasing at all. But I just started to document everything that I was doing. And there wasn't many people at the time doing it. So I think obviously it was in there at the right time. And so I was just sharing so much about my journey back then, and probably not as much about my personal life as I do now. I was just very much heavily focused on the training and the food and your body and the updates every week and the and that kind of thing. So I think my over the years, I've definitely shared more just like of my personal life, or whether that be business or relationships, or that I do love to go out and have a dance and a drink with my friends. And I think that I was probably always, I don't know, a little bit hesitant to show more of that side of things, because you'd always kind of think, oh, if she's like this peak fitness girl, like, oh, they don't go out and have fun, or they're not going to be drinking, they're not going to be doing this, like that's not what a fit person does. So I think there was always like that at the back of my mind. But I think over the years, there's definitely preaching balance, I think, is where it has shifted a little bit more than just being like really rigid and the extremes. So I think that it used to be a lot more back then. Then people have lives right like now, and they want to share it too. So
yeah. Did you ever go through a phase of demonizing that kind of stuff for yourself? So like not going out drinking or having balance?
I think I've always been someone that has lived a pretty well-balanced lifestyle. If I was prepping for a comp, I'd be very, very headstrong in that. Like I wouldn't be drinking, probably wouldn't be partying, because I wouldn't want to be like losing hours of sleep. Like I was very headstrong and routine and structured. And if you'd catch up with friends, you'd go for a walk, or you'd do things that probably were a little bit more wholesome. And then in like your off season, then I probably would lean to having more fun and being a lot more flexible with the choices that I was making. So I think I've always been, someone that does preach a lot of balance and loves that.
Yeah. No, I think it's so good, and it's refreshing to hear people that have achieved massive things, whether it's business or in sports, that still are able to be like, no, I do like balance. I like going out with my friends, because I guess we see like the 1%ers, right? The ones that like sleep when you're dead. You know, if you're doing anything that's not business, it's not. And so it's tricky. And when you see people that actually have done it all, it's really motivating.
Yeah, and I think it's like, don't get me wrong, I think that there are seasons, like there are like ebbs and flows where maybe you are a little bit more social than not, or there's times where you do have to really put your head down and maybe there isn't any balance. Like sometimes you have to just like go all in on that one thing, and if it's for a period of time, and knowing like that's okay, but I'm not going to sit there. Like I'm not going to be stuck there forever. Like you do want to, have all these different parts too, as we spoke about before. It's not just like all in on one thing forever.
What you just said then, seasons, that's the main nugget there of like, you can go through a comp prep. Of course, there's probably not going to be a lot of balance in a comp prep, not if you're going to work hard. But then, having like other parts of you that are still existing, maybe they're just like a little bit less right now, and then you can bring it back.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Did you ever struggle with like your self-worth in terms of how you looked? So transitioning from bodybuilder into mum.
In terms of like body composition and body image and like my feelings around myself, honestly, the most freeing time in my life was actually when I found out I was pregnant. And I honestly felt like there was a weight off my shoulders, because I didn't need to be shredding down. I didn't need to be building. I didn't have this external, pressure to be looking a certain way or have these aesthetic goals. And so it was actually really nice to, for once, be like, okay, like, yes, my body is going to change. And it is scary because it's so unknown, right? It was my first pregnancy. So for your body to go through so much change, but also so freeing to know that like I don't need to be a certain level of body fat percent to be like, I don't know. I just found that really a freeing time, and just again, such a point where I realized like my relationship with myself and my food and my training, it had come a long way from what it was. So pregnancy, that was a really freeing feeling. And then postpartum, it definitely is challenging, because you do feel really foreign in your body. You're always like, prior to pregnancy and being pregnant, it was like such an exciting time. Like, oh my God, like the counting down the months and I'm going to have this baby. And then postpartum, then like you don't have the baby in your belly anymore. So then you're just left with a body that you don't really recognize anymore. You don't feel is like you, because before you're pregnant, that's not what you look like now. So I think a lot of people, and myself included, do struggle with that initially. And I think for a lot of people, that's like where that like postpartum depression, and it is a really like hard time, I think, with that identity shifts. But for me, I think that in the back of my mind, when it comes to like my body and like losing weight, and like I was like, I've done it before. I know what to do. Like early on, I was like, I'm not going to focus on this because I just want to focus on navigating being a mom and just getting by daily with that. And then when the time did come when I wanted to refocus in on my goals, like with what I looked like or my strength again, like I've done, as I said, I've done it before. I've lost weight before. I've gotten stronger before. I went through, back in 2020, I had a bowel surgery, had a twisted bowel, randomly just came out of nowhere and had to get a big like incision. And so I pretty much, that was not too far from when I was competing actually. So I'd really like, that was a time where I really like got knocked back down to like pretty much like lost all my muscle, couldn't train for months and months and months, and really had to rebuild again from scratch. So I was like, I've done that before. Like I know what to do to come back from something. So it was the same thing postpartum. It's like just take it day by day. And yeah, I feel like I'm in a good place now.
Yeah, that's amazing. What did it feel like going through that moment of shifting from, okay, postpartum's happening, now I want to get back into getting strong again?
I think it's a really good feeling because at that time I was like, I feel like me again. Mm-hmm. Like feeling strong in the gym, or even just having the consistency with my training, or even like eating well. Like these are all things that make me feel like I'm bringing myself back home to me. And I struggle a little bit when I don't have like those parts really aligned. So yeah, it felt so good to be able to go to the gym, to start feeling like you're getting stronger. And yeah, I think it's a ripple effect with everything in life as well. Like when you're training well, when you're nourishing your body, it's like, yeah, like you just start to feel good.
Did you try and keep hold of a few things throughout that whole process? Like what were your non-negotiables? Food, obviously staying relatively well?
Yeah, so I think early on, and same goes, like you're educated. Like even though if you're not going to be counting your calories and macros, you still are mindful. You still know about food. So you're going to be eating things that are good for you. And again, like I wanted to feel good. So you wanted to be putting things in your body that are like nourishing. And obviously your body has gone through so much having a baby. So obviously the healing process as well and the recovery from there. And for me, in terms of like training and just like fitness in general, it's not about doing more now. It's really about stripping things back and how to really maximize what I can do in like even just doing 3 sessions a week. Whereas back in the day, I'd do like 6 or 7 sessions a week, and like it was all about doing more. What else can I do? Whereas now it's like, okay, if I can only make 3 sessions a week, then cool. This is like I'm going to give everything in those, or 4 sessions, and it's really proven to me that not like doing more isn't necessarily best, isn't necessarily better. I feel like I'm at a pretty good place with like my physique and trying to rebuild and stuff like that, but. Yeah, I don't need to spend all that time in the gym. I don't necessarily need to always be like tracking my food either. So
yeah, and that does come with like education, right? Like the more you do it, the better you know, okay, this feels good for me, this doesn't. And then you can kind of just like weave it through.
Exactly.
But I love that like the fitness industry as a whole is moving away from like suffering. I feel like it doesn't even feel like that long ago, maybe even like 2020, everything was about like pushing so hard, especially in the bodybuilding space.
Yeah. And that was one thing I think that when I first started as well, I was like, surely you don't have to suffer to get good results. And that's, definitely something over the years that I've always came back to the fact like you don't need to be slaving away 7 days a week in the gym to get an incredible body, to lose body fat. You don't need to be eating 1,000 calories and not eating out at restaurants. So you don't need there's so much more to life as well. So yeah, you don't have to suffer to get results. I think people just a lot of the time are doing things the wrong way, but then when they probably come around to it and they start doing things as they should, then they're like, it's such an eye-opening moment. Like, what do you mean I can eat carbs and still lose fat? Or it's just like for a lot of people, they just might not be there yet. But yeah.
What was it like in your childhood with that, with having a sporty mum? Did you feel pressure to have to like eat well?
Not really. I think my family, even though like we're really like fit and active, it wasn't around like food wasn't really we ate really delicious food. We ate healthy food. It was more of like a balanced. Mum wasn't so like, oh, we must eat organic food. So that was good.
Yeah,
I don't think I
good.
didn't have like those negative associations with food or anything like that growing up. No.
Yeah, it's really fantastic to hear because I think a lot of people, with parents that do bodybuilding and stuff, they sort of go like, your children are going to grow up to have such disordered like views on food, but really it's probably quite the opposite, quite empowering.
Yeah, that's what I think. And yeah, I would love to think that like Sailor growing up with like Mark and I as like parent, like I really enjoy making her. Now she can actually eat food. I'm like, I love making her food and having a wide variety of things. But then I also am not going to be the type of mom's like, no, you can't eat a sweet, or no, you can't do this. Like, I think it's so important to have a really open mindset around food. And obviously we lead by example too. Like, they're going to be following what we do. So I think, still having that really balanced approach is something that it will definitely instill into our household.
Yeah. So I want to pivot to speaking about when you left that corporate job to coming into the fitness world. What did that feel like, having to leave everything behind?
It was honestly the most scary moment of my life, in that I was working a pretty good full-time job. So I was in HR at a financial advisory. You obviously have the job security. I've been there for years, progressing in the company, to then one day being like, I'm going to leave this, start my own business, be my own boss. And it's definitely a scary feeling. But I did, for like months and months in the lead up, obviously get things prepared so that when I knew that I'd leave my full-time job, then I obviously had something established to step into. So I was fortunate in that, like, I was still obviously making a little bit of money to support then kind of coming up with this new business and ideas as well. So it was one of obviously the scariest moments, but I always told myself that I would regret it so much, and I would just I would never not stop working hard. It would succeed no matter what. That was what I always just told myself, like, I will succeed at this.
What role has self-belief played in your ability to achieve great things in pretty much everything?
Again, I think it's just coming back to the fact, like, I don't know, I'm just so relentless in the pursuit of wanting to do really well, and it's more of just not wanting to let myself down. And I often come back to that in, even if I'm just starting out a new diet plan or starting out something new for the first time, where it might feel a little bit uncomfortable or pushing you outside your comfort zone. It's like I just take each day as it comes, and I tick that off and I tick that off. And for me, it's like I'm big on momentum in life, and momentum leads to success, right? So the more days you can tick off, the more successful times, like tick, 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 I get on a roll, and I'm like, I don't want to let myself down. So that's, I think, where a lot of my self-belief and a lot of that drive comes from, is just ticking off those days, winning the day, winning the day, winning the day, and they all accumulate to something big. So that's just take each day as it comes for me. It's just winning that day.
Yeah. And that would build a lot of trust in yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. And it's feeling like you are, even though you've got that big goal in mind, I still like to feel like I am accomplishing those little steps. And I think that's obviously, I don't feel like I'm an overly confident person. I'm not super confident. I'm quite shy, especially in group situations, or I hate speaking on stage. There are just a lot of times in life that I am very much reserved in my nature. So I think that just by looking at those smaller kind of steps ahead, it does build that self-confidence as well to then getting to that big goal.
Yeah. There's a quote from, I think it's Hormozy. It's confidence isn't shouting affirmations in the mirror. It's proving to yourself that you are who you say you are.
Yes,
and so, maybe you're not that overly confident, cocky, whatever person, but you've got that self-belief inside you that you know that if you are going to set out to do something, you're going to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a better kind of confidence, I think. It's that
quite confidence.
Yeah, no, definitely. Have you ever had moments where you've really, really doubted what you're doing?
I think there's always going to be times where you're I don't know if things are getting hard, or I don't know if things aren't working or going to plan. You're always going to have those moments of self-doubt creep in. And I even remember last year I spoke at one of the Clean Health Live presentations. So I was going to be up on stage, and I was just like, it was just a sense of, oh, I don't think I should be here. It's like that self-doubt. I'm like, oh, nobody wants to hear me speak. You know, when you start to get those feelings coming in. I think because I also, speaking to me in public speaking is like my biggest fear in life. So that's something that I really have to work on, and like even just to get myself up there, you know, like the practicing or just like that self-belief, like, yes, you can go do it. People want to be there to listen to you, and just like overcoming those like fears to step outside your comfort zone. So yeah, there's definitely times in life where I feel like that, but you've just got to, I don't know. I always feel like if you're always comfortable, you're never going to be like pushing yourself to grow, right? So I often feel like if I am starting to feel that, then you're on the right path because you're pushing yourself, right?
Yeah. You said that you felt like nobody would want to listen to you. Why do you feel like that?
I don't know. It's just one of those self-doubt kind of things, or what's it called? Yeah, I guess. I don't know what the word is.
It feels like there's like that little bit of imposter syndrome.
Yeah, imposter syndrome. That was what I was looking for.
But imposter syndrome is a good thing, right? Because it means you're pushing yourself and you're stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I think I listened to a podcast and it was talking about how imposter syndrome, it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? It's because you are stepping out and you're doing things that you might feel like are higher than what you are, or they're greater than what you would have ever imagined yourself doing, but like that's obviously the direction that you want to go. And if you don't want to be continuously playing small, and if you wouldn't have imposter syndrome if you never were thinking big things, right? So I think there are these little signs that like indicate that you are on the right path.
Absolutely. And I think if you focus on how you're feeling too much, then it can kind of stop you in your tracks when actually if you just think about your actions, like you still did it.
Yeah.
Even though you were like, oh my God, this fucking sucks. Like you did it. Everyone in the crowd probably didn't even realize that you were nervous.
Yeah.
So that's it.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah. Did you set out to be like I know fitness influencer is not really like the right word, but like when you started, did you see yourself being this like thought leader, like one of the leaders in the industry?
No, I didn't. And I think looking back, everything evolved and moved so fast. And I feel like if I was to picture my life in like 3 months' time or like 6 months, like it was always just something different, or like at that time there were so many like new opportunities that were coming up, or just so much was happening in that space. Not only like with business, with competing, and then like opportunities like working with different brands over the years. So it was traveling overseas for things. It was just, yeah, the pace that life moved then was crazy. So I wouldn't have even been able to say like what's going to happen in a year's time. And even now, I still find it really hard to have long-term goals. Like, yes, you have long-term goals, but to think of how your life could look like in 1 year, because so much can happen in a year. Yeah. And I even think to myself, did I even think I was going to be a mum in like a year? Did I think that I would have a baby this year, like last year? No. So yeah, so much can happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it is crazy. Hey, like I think especially in that era of social media just booming, it was like people just went from 0 to 100 so quick.
And I think because it was such a new thing for businesses and brands as well. So like there were so many like expos, there was just so many different opportunities that people were given in the social media space. Like brand trips and just, there was so much going on. I did a lot of like international stuff as well. So yeah, I think at that time there was just, you never knew what was going to come, and it was just actually really exciting if it sounded pretty good and did your research and stuff, and like I just loved taking different opportunities, holding myself back from anything.
What was one of the best things in that time that you got to experience?
Probably back then I went to the Olympia in one of the years, and just going over with companies, was with like EHP Labs, and I was with Shreds originally when they were like a big thing, and so doing international stuff with them, and I think that it had some really cool opportunities overseas and like shooting for companies in America, and even run my own like coaching event over in LA, because LA was like one of my biggest audiences for coaching back then. Like LA and New York, in terms of like locations where most of my clients were from was there. So yeah, being able to work and do cool things over there back then was really fun.
That's amazing. Were you with Mark in that era?
Mark and I started dating in 2018. So he was my coach when I became the world bikini champion, just my coach back then. We weren't together, but soon after then we, got together. So yeah, it's been quite a few years now.
Nice. What role has like having a supportive partner played on since then to now? Has it helped?
I think, like 100% being with Mark has helped like shape who I am today, and also even with things like, business as well, because he's obviously someone in the industry, someone very knowledgeable. And I think when I was dating him, I was like a sponge to him. Like I'd always ask him so many questions about like nutrition and training, and I just used to pick his brain on absolutely everything. And Mark is someone that is very good at supporting those around him, and anyone like close to him would know like to push them to get the most out of them so that they can like be the best version of themselves. So like he's had a lot of tough conversations with me over the years, but if he didn't do that, then I wouldn't have probably made decisions that I had to. So I think having a supportive partner who's obviously supportive in a way that's, like I didn't need someone that's going to tell me that I'm amazing all the time. Like I wanted someone to tell me like if I wasn't doing good, or if I needed someone to be truthful in a way like that you could be doing better at something, or like just having those conversations, which I feel like is super important to have to get the most out of your partner as well, not just always being like, oh yes, like you're doing good, you're doing amazing. Like yes, but what can we do? Like what else can you do? Or you could be, I think that's super important.
It's so important to have somebody that pushes you more and more, because at the end of the day, you would be as successful as you would with or without him, I'm sure. Like you are just that kind of person. But having someone that's also just going to make you just level up, even just that little bit.
Yeah.
So good. Have you had supportive people in your life all the way through, not even just partners, friends?
Yeah, I think I have been really lucky. Obviously, my family's always been super supportive of everything that I've done over the years, and even friendships as well. And obviously, my friendship circles have changed a little bit here and there over the years. A lot of our friends at the moment, and as you probably, like I think like you'd probably be friends with a lot of people in the industry as well, like your closest friends. Like it is really nice to have those people that are probably doing similar to what you're doing, but everyone just, again, like wants to see each other succeed. We all help each other out. Like even though you're all like online fitness coaches, like to be there and to helping, and you guys could like, you could do this, and like offering and sharing like each other support and advice. Like, it's been really nice. And the best friends that I've made are people through the fitness industry. Over the years, which is really nice.
It is lucky. Hey, I think the fitness industry, people think that it's one way, but I don't really like. I haven't had bad experiences with people being really like feisty between each other. Like I think people go like, "Oh, it's so like competitive," but like,
no, I haven't either. And as I said, like a lot of like my best friends have come from like competing, or just like being in the fitness space and connecting over that, which I think it's nice. It's probably hard for people, and people often ask me like, "How do you make friends in like your 30s?" And I think that it's having common interests, or like putting yourself out there. And I think the gym and fitness and being in those environments, and even these days, like going to things like a run club, like you're meeting like-minded individuals who do share like the common interests, like want to be bettering themselves, like they're in the gym working hard. And I think they're traits that we all share, that we all, again, then admire in one another as well.
Yeah. It's also the energy that you put off too, because if you give out that positive energy, you're just going to receive positive back.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely what you have done. You know, you put that out, and of course you're going to have nice people gravitating towards you, and hard workers as well.
Thank you.
Do you think that your your business now has evolved since you first started in terms of how you kind of approach your clientele? Is it a different kind of vibe?
I think my audience has definitely grown with me over the years. So obviously, like when I started out, like probably younger, and so I definitely noticed that the audience has kind of grown with me in the same way, like they're probably experiencing all these life changes at the same time I have. And I think the biggest thing for me that's changed with like business, or like being a coach, and the perspective that I have is now being a parent, and I think I just have so much more understanding for other people who are also parents. And I feel like it is really challenging for a lot of people to fit in 5-6 days of training. So it's like looking at now what is realistic, and it's kind of made me then sit with, okay, it might not be optimal for this person or for people to be training and to be doing these programs that I'm writing that are like 5-6 days per week. Like what could I be doing differently, or how to support now people from a place where I'm also going through these new experiences too. So I think it's definitely shaping me as a coach and just being a little bit more understanding in that way for people.
What's the biggest lesson that you're currently like learning through parenthood right now?
Oh gosh, there's
Lots.
probably a million. One of the biggest things that I had learned is that being a parent, if you are sleep deprived, you still just have to get up and the show must go on. Even I was running, we had a lot of troubles with Sailor recently with sleep, and I was sleeping on a rocking chair for like 4 hours, 3-4 hours every single night with her in my arms, plus waking up all night, never getting a solid sleep. But then you'd still wake up the next day. It's a brand new day. You still go about, you still get your shit done. You'd go to the gym. You'd still be working. Whereas before I had a child, if I was sleep deprived, I would be like, I'm on the lounge. Don't talk to me. Like, you'd need to get your sleep. So I think that parents are have superpowers in that way, that even if you're sleep deprived, the show must go on. That's my motto in life. The show must go on.
I think about my mum, like I can never remember her being sick. Obviously she probably was, but like she didn't show it. She didn't go and lie in bed. Like someone's got to make dinner.
Literally, yeah. Someone's got to still get up and run the household and do the things. So yeah, I think that.
How's managing the business side? Do you have like pretty good work-life balance at the moment?
We're definitely a bit more heavy on the work side at the moment, especially because we are launching a new business, which will hopefully be in September. It's a long time coming. New app and a new business with Mark and I together now. So that's really, really exciting for us. So we are definitely in a work mode at the moment, sprinkled in with some balance here and there. But yeah, we're really excited to have this out, and then we'll maybe have a little bit more balance.
How did it feel leaving Lauren Simpson Fitness behind?
I mean, I had worked obviously so hard for many years to build up that brand and that brand name, and that's right. But I just feel like it's now just an evolution of that. And I know the service and I know the product that we're going to be delivering to people. It's just leagues above what we were doing separately, but now obviously going to be together. So it's just, I feel like an evolution, and like my own personal brand, like my own personal Lauren Simpson, like I have evolved so much over the years too. So I feel like just to stay with Lauren Simpson Fitness, it wouldn't be true to like the growth or the evolution that I've personally had as well. So no, I'm excited. It's like a fresh start, or just something new in life.
And you're right, just like that evolution of everything's going to progress at some point, and the more we cling on to those identities of like, well, I'm Lauren Simpson Fitness, like you're never going to have those new opportunities open up.
Exactly.
Are you excited I'm sure you've probably worked alongside Mark this whole time anyway, but does it feel different being like in it together?
Yeah, and I think it's really nice in that we'd always been and we still are fiercely independent in like building our own life and our own whatever we're doing separately. But then I also think it's such a nice feeling now to be both working hard and contributing on the same thing that's for like our family, and to build this thing together. I feel like it's just another sense of like we're doing this together. It's not so much I'm doing this or I'm doing that. So I feel like, it's nice.
I like what you said before. You said something about having hard conversations. Does that, do you think that's really important with moving forward in the business, having those tough conversations with each other?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, as I said, like you need hard conversations to get the most out of people, or to just, I think, ensure that you're on like the right path and that there's that communication. Like not everything in life is going to be smooth sailing, and it's especially hard like when you are working with your partner too, and we both do have very strong opinions on things as well. It's like, well, I want things when it's not just yours anymore. You also have to consider someone else's thoughts and opinions on things. So there's definitely, we do butt heads a little bit on certain things, but then it's also nice to then have someone to be able to obviously bounce ideas off, and we have our own strengths in certain parts of what we do. So like he's got his strengths in the business, I've got mine, and then it's coming together. So yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it definitely, it's never going to be easy, especially having a child as well. Like you guys have so many things, all these moving parts. Yeah, literally. But then I guess you're working towards this common goal of like making a life for ourselves and making this like the best thing.
Yeah.
Which is super exciting.
Yeah.
What's a trait that you've had, like a personality trait or a mindset that you've carried through all seasons of your life that you like really rely on?
That's a good question. And I think going back to maybe strength, and I'll say strong because that's just a word that I always use like in my own personal brand in my life, and is strong. And I think strength, no matter what season of life you're in and no matter where you're at in your journey, I think it's something that I've always fallen back on, that I often am that strong person. And whether that be in your career and what you're doing, whether that be in like coming back from like I had that like my bowel surgery, whether it can't be coming back postpartum, like there's such a strength in what you're doing. So I think I've always really leaned on that. And even like supporting Mark, who's obviously goes through like a lot of mental health struggles, like to be the strength in the relationship. So I feel like for me, I really, fall back on being strong, but strong can mean so many different things in so many different areas of life.
Yeah, that is super powerful. What would you tell somebody who doesn't feel like they have that strength within them, how they can cultivate it?
I think, and that's the thing. Everyone does have an element of strength from within, but again, it just comes to that self-belief that you actually do. And I think a lot of people fear like a lot of things in life, or they're not putting themselves out there, or it's just they're not letting that strength kind of shine through. So it all starts from like believing in yourself, and it's probably very cliche, but I think that that sense of self-confidence, self-belief, and just pushing yourself in life. And
I know definitely the more that I stick to things that I set out to do, the more I feel good about myself. And then the more I feel good about myself, the more I do it. And then it snowballs in the right direction. It can also snowball in the wrong direction, in the sense that if you don't do something, then you speak negatively about yourself, and then it spirals that way. But to bring out that confidence and that strength, it really is just like stacking.
Like those little promises that you make to yourself that you're going to do it, and then you do it, and then you keep on going.
Yeah. And I guess not getting too sucked into that negative self-talk if you don't make that promise, because as you said before, there's always going to be things that happen. Life's gonna kick you up the butt sometimes.
Deals you many different cards.
That's it. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for coming on. You are so inspiring. Your hard work, your consistency. I think when I think of you, I do think of that evolution of just you have stuck it out, and it's shown. You have like a fantastic energy about you, and it makes me motivated to go and work. Like I'm like, if you can do it, I can do it.
Absolutely.
So can anybody else.
They can. No, thank you so much for having me. It was so good to speak.
Yes, thank you. Well, thank you everyone for listening. If you liked this episode, please go and share it on your Instagram. Yep. What's the new app called? Have we got a name?
Not allowed to announce the name yet.
Okay.
But the new name will be revealed soon.
I'm so excited. Well, congratulations for launching that. I'm so excited for it to come out. And now knowing all of the work that's gone behind the scenes and knowing the shit that's happened as well, like it's going to be even more sweeter for you when that does come out. If you like this episode, please share it around and leave us a 5-star review, and I'll talk to you all in the next episode.
Bye.
Thank you, Lauren.